Good afternoon. My name is Desiree Manzanares here with the El Paso Chamber. We are doing our Facebook Live chat with El Paso Businesses Stand Together, and we have Leila Melendez with us from El Paso Workforce Solutions Borderplex to answer some questions for us. Thank you for joining us today. So please remember that we are live right now, so every question that you're posting is one that we'll see and we can ask Leila to answer it for us. So please feel free to post, the more the better, and let's kick it off. So Leila, one of my first questions is, what are different alternatives that companies have at this time to laying off employees?
So we are fielding a range of calls from employers that are very uncertain, and we understand that every day, things look very differently. And so we're trying our best to answer calls from employers. And one of those questions is, we're not quite sure what to do. Should we lay them off? We're not sure how our business is going to change. What should we do? And I think we can't necessarily provide a yes or no answer, or you should do this and you should do that. We're just asking employers to really think about their business, visit with their clients, talk to their clients if they can, their customers, try to understand where the demand is shifting before they take any action on their workforce. Restaurants are having one type of conversation, hotels are having maybe different types of conversations. So before they just kind of panic and lay everyone off, we want them to understand the resources available to them, the bill that was passed just this week on the available paid time off to them, availability of small business loans perhaps that they also have available, before they take any action on laying off or dislocating their employees. So we're asking them to call us, and we can walk them through all of those different types of options, and then they can try to make the best decision for them as possible.
And you said something really interesting earlier. I know it was, I can't remember the exact wording. What was it?
Don't panic, pivot.
Yes. So I know right now a lot of businesses are feeling that pinch where, obviously we have a lot of things going on. Dining rooms are being closed down. And so there's a lot of reason to be panicking right now if you're running a restaurant or a business. But I like the idea of, instead of panicking, pivot and try to accommodate to the times that we're in.
Correct. Right. And on that note, the demand for all of the services and the products that we normally buy are still there. Everybody still needs supplies and things and food. So we still have a demand for all of those things. It's just now in a very critical and a panic type of mode. And so we also want employers, like I said, to not fall into that panic and figure out a different model perhaps of how to provide those services. For example, curbside delivery for restaurants. Maybe looking at the parking lot and converting parking lots to curbside. Yesterday online I found a meme from a local restaurant that had already made a sign that said, "We'll deliver to your car, just honk twice." And I thought that's exactly the entrepreneurial spirit that we are looking for, and we want employers to look for before they take any action. Is perhaps your servers don't have to serve to tables, they can serve to cars. So that's just one example. So I think that's what we are asking employers to consider before they take any action on their workforce. Something that I just would be interested in from a small business perspective is, how can food trucks just mobilize and go into the neighborhoods? Very similar to the ice cream trucks. We normally see them in the summer. Let's just roll them out a few months earlier. And so there's things like that I think is worth a conversation. And there's obviously several resources available to the business community, the Chamber being one of them, and us being another.
Perfect. So how does it work for full-time employees who don't report full wages? Do they qualify for benefits?
That's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So there may be obviously employees that work at restaurants or bars that rely on tips, and that's up to the person, they may or may not report all of those wages. And so UI, unemployment insurance or unemployment benefits are based on the previous quarter's earnings. So if you don't report all of those earnings, then you may or may not be eligible or qualify or approved for unemployment. And if you are approved, it may be at a certain percentage. So that's not a set cookie cutter formula for each person. Each person's incomes and reportings are going to be looked at. But what we are telling employees is if they do get laid off, file for unemployment. And something that's really important is on the unemployment website, there is a question that asks them, what is the reason for your layoff? And they need to select this event, the COVID-19 event, as that reason, which then expedites their benefits. So they've shortened the window, they've shortened the time frame to get people those benefits quickly. So it's really important that they do that, and then let the process run its course. They may get approved, they may not. And if they don't get approved, they can appeal. They can appeal that decision and then let that run its course. So we don't want for any employee or employer to assume and to make a decision thinking that it applies, that everything applies the same and equally. It doesn't. So file and then go from there. On the other end, we believe that folks would rather work than to have unemployment, and so on our website, after they file for unemployment benefits, then they are directed and go to our job database, which is called workintexas.com, and it's a free job database that they should create a profile, because we are finding other employers that are ramping up. They need temporary workers to support this effort. So we are trying to match those opportunities, those folks that are laid off or dislocated, into other temporary jobs that other employers are looking for.
Okay, so I guess that's an important thing to remember, is that it's not all cookie cutter. It would depend on the circumstance. So we do have a question that came in. And it's from Brenda B. If an appeal is submitted, how long does it take to get the final decision? So
those are again, it varies, and I don't know Brenda's situation, so I can't answer specifically in hers. But this event is expediting a lot of those decisions. So what we did know is the governor waived that 10-day investigation period to figure out what the situation was. That's been removed from this process. And then this event being the reason for the unemployment application being filed, it's an expedited process of 2 to 4 weeks to start to get benefits. So if it's appealed, you will likely get a decision or some kind of an update really quickly. I would say within days, maybe not weeks, I would say days, and then appeal it, and then follow that process.
Okay, perfect. Another question that we had for you was, can employees who are not laid off but have their hours cut, can they still apply for these benefits?
Yes, if an employer technically does not lay you off and says, well, I just don't have work for you right now, so I'm moving you to 0 hours, those employees can still and should apply for unemployment benefits, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And what are options for parents who right now, with school being out, and we're not sure when that's going to come back? I know a lot of states are going into having school canceled for the rest of the semester. For parents who are in that situation and they need childcare with this sudden prompting of it, what are the options for them?
So our childcare provider is the YWCA. They are the network and the organization that manages the largest, like a large network of the majority of childcare providers in the city. And so I encourage them to go to the YWCA and work with them to identify those child care providers that have capacity, because some families and some children are at home rather than in daycare. Those child care providers aren't serving children, so there may be capacity for other families that do need the child care.
Okay. And what can child care centers who need supplies, I know right now everyone is kind of, going out, stocking up on everything. Right. What can child care centers who need supplies like Clorox wipes or Lysol wipes, what can they do if they need to find them?
So I think the question is more, what can we do for those types of child care providers? They are notifying, if in our case it's the YWCA who manages the network, they're notifying them that they have to close because of these issues. So we are reaching out to other business organizations, other resources that we have, to try to help out those child care centers, because they do have a demand, but they can't open their doors to those families and those children because of a limited supply of food and cleaning supplies, which is creating an even larger burden on those families. So, right now it is a very challenging time, but we have to be aware of all of the things that we're doing are impacting one another, and is having a really big ripple effect. So, I would want to reach out to other businesses or organizations to help with some of those childcare providers and making sure that they have everything they have to serve us.
Okay. And I know we have another question from Elizabeth O'Hara Williams. She asks, I own a small business and am applying for SBA disaster relief. I am anticipating that I will need a low interest loan. The problem for me is that currently I have not incurred any losses. I want to be at the front of the line if I need the loan, but will it be a problem applying if I haven't technically experienced a loss yet?
My advice is to just apply. Just apply, because that the point is, like you said, you want to be in the front of the line. Get your application looked at as soon as possible. I can't say when that would be, but get yourself in there, get in the line, and have that conversation and have that file open. So when the time comes that you do talk to somebody, even if it's a few days out or a few weeks out, by then you may have experienced losses, or you may have not experienced as much loss as you think. You just don't know where you're going to be, but at least you're being talked to and somebody's actively working on your file versus you being at the back of the line. So my advice is to just get that application in.
So better to be safe than
That's right.
sorry.
Yes.
Okay. We have another question from Lizette Wino Burrow. I'm sorry if I misspoke that. Can you please answer a question for me? Many of our community small businesses are under 50 employees. Is there anything being discussed or any programs that will help us out? There are programs being established for employees under 500 but over 50. This is not helping any business owners who have under 50 employees.
So I will go back and check that law, but that's really important. That is a big population, if you will, of our business community. But I believe that this bill would apply to them. But I know that there are other organizations, not just the SBA, but there's also like the Lift Fund, and I know that other city and county leaders are looking at other financial options for micro businesses for that purpose. And so, something that I also want to remind employers, even if you're an employer of a very small business, you also are an employee of your own business, so you could also file for unemployment. That's something that a lot of micro business owners don't realize, that they do qualify for that. So, there's not just the financial loans and things that they could obtain and direct funding, but they themselves could file for unemployment.
Interesting. So if you are your own business owner, you can actually file for unemployment benefits.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay. I honestly, that was not a fake wow. I actually had no idea.
Right.
And Lizette, I'm really glad I didn't mess up your name. So sorry. So guys, we're about to wrap up in just a few minutes. So if you have any questions, now's the time to post them. I had another question for you.
Sure.
If you don't have internet, I know when I was a teacher, I know a lot of families in El Paso don't have access to internet. Will they be able to apply for benefits, or will they have to go to a library or a public place that has it? Because I know with social distancing that's kind of a hot topic.
Right. So first and foremost, unemployment, the application to file for unemployment is mostly online, but it's not only online. There is an 800 number, and they can find that on our website, and they can call and apply. It might be a little longer, but at least they can get that in. They don't have to rely strictly on internet to apply online for the unemployment benefits. We also have several resource centers across the region. Unfortunately, we're having to scale that back, but starting next week, we will have our resource room at our North Loop Center open every day for a few hours from 10 to 1. And we're going to have limited access, but that really is there to support individuals that don't have access to computers either at home or even at the library because they're closed. So we're going to do what we can to open up our center and provide access to computers and faxes and printers, etc. For a few hours. And our address there is 8825 North Loop, and you can find that address on our website, and then just look for signage and information about the hours that we're posting there.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we put the address and
Yes,
the website on our page as well. We have a couple of questions. With unemployment, it's said again. With unemployment, will the employer unemployment rate go skyrocket? That will hurt us, or will that be waived?
I set answer to that yes, it will skyrocket because this is an unprecedented event. So I know that that's really the question that a lot of our employers are asking us is, are they going to go up, and by how much, and what am I going to do? And that's really what's causing employers to maybe say, well, I'm not going to lay somebody off, but I'm going to give you 0 hours. So either one of those situations is still going to result in the same thing, in the unemployment. So you really, as an employer, like I said, I know you have limited options, but consider all of those options and look for alternatives to laying off, so that you don't end up with an unintended consequence at the end. You likely will have an impact on those rates. What that impact is, for how long, that is the unknown at this point, and I think that's what's causing a lot of the anxiety, is just that unknown. But consider your options, get as much informed as possible. Look at different resources ourselves, the chambers, etc., before you take any action that then maybe has a more negative impact than you originally intended.
Okay. And I believe Elizabeth O'Hare Williams is asking this about the same question. As a small business owner, will my unemployment rate be affected if my employees end up qualifying and receiving unemployment benefits?
Yeah, that was.
We just have to kind of wait and see. Lizette is also asking, will SBA bridge loans become grants at some point?
That I couldn't answer. I know that the SBA has a local office here, and they've got some local resources here. I don't know if that eventually would happen. I think that would require legislative action, so I can't answer for that. But I would say if you feel like you need to apply for a loan, whether you decide to take it or not, get your application in and then go from there.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I know you're very busy, especially at this point in time. And thank you everyone who joined us on Facebook Live. Thank you for your questions and for viewing. As we mentioned, we will have all of the information posted, the address and phone numbers for the benefits, so that you guys can have access to that. And we will be doing this pretty much daily, so please just stay in touch with our page and make sure that you're looking for updates, and we will be continuing to bring you information to make sure that our businesses stay on their feet. Thank you.
Thank you.